Raising industrial output is one of the few key ways to strengthen the economy, especially considering the slump in recent years. However, several industries are at loggerheads with the Nepal Electricity Authority that has halted power supply of factories and enterprises that have failed to clear their dues to the authority. In this edition of Kantipur News, we also have updates on Israel's growing conflict with regional neighbors and the Nepal Super League. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanama. Let's begin with the headlines of the hour. Irregularities galore among cooperatives operating in Lumbini. Depositors swindled. Home Minister says action will be taken against guilty operators. Leaders expedite discussions over National Assembly seats. Those who lost in recent elections and those from proportionate list eye the upper house polls. Israel warns Hezbollah and Lebanon over border fighting, says its military will act to remove Hezbollah from the border if attacks continue. And Lalitpur City FC enter into the final of Nepal Super League for the first time, defeating Pokhara Thunders 2-1 in extra time. Majority of the cooperatives registered in Kathmandu and operating in Lumbini have been alleged of financial irregularities and mishandling. They have been found issuing investments on outsiders without security, putting millions of rupees of depositors' money at risk. Depositors, meanwhile, are left helpless as the government monitoring body has dodged the issue, saying it does not fall under their jurisdiction. The Supreme Savings and Loan Cooperatives operating in Butwal had been attracting more depositors, promising higher interest rates, and has been found issuing loans to outsiders without security. Cooperatives like these have not returned depositors' money, saying they had yet to receive the loan amount. The Supreme Cooperative had deployed 50 staff in Rupandehi and Kapilvastu and had been collecting daily savings from the public across the area. Of the total deposit, it has been understood that the cooperatives handed out 1,150 million rupees in loan without security. The other cooperatives that have been alleged of similar mishandling of public's money are Kalpa Vriksha, Shivasekhar, Agantuk, Sarthak and Star, among others. Account holders have filed a complaint at the Cooperatives Association, saying these cooperatives had not returned their deposit, failed to provide interest as declared, and that in several cases the operators had been missing. Based on the federal setup, provincial government has been assigned the responsibility of monitoring cooperatives at the local levels. However, they have remained as a mere spectator. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we asked you what's your take on the Prime Minister allowing official visit to individual on arrest list. 56% voted for option A, mockery of rule of law, 26% for B, political motive, and 18% for C, helpless police administration. And here's today's question. What should be done to ensure justice for victims of faulty cooperatives? Your options are A, return the deposit amount, B, action against operators, and C, improve existing laws. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Aspirants of the National Assembly seats have begun intensifying their meetings with political party leaders as the upper house election nears. As a result, parties of the ruling alliance are struggling to finalize their candidates to contest in the polls. Many aspirants even withdrew their names from the proportionate list to be able to contest in the National Assembly election, and there are leaders who had lost in the recent elections, local and parliamentary elections. One of such leaders who withdrew their names from the proportionate list is Gopalman Shrestha from Nepali Congress. Shrestha has intensified discussions with his party to field his name for the polls. Others are Congress leader Krishna Prasad Sitola, who had lost the election in Chhapa, Pushpa Bhusal, who lost in Argakhachi, Mahalakshmi Upadhyay, who lost in Makwanpur, Maoist Centre's Pampa Bhusal, and the party's General Secretary Dev Gurung, among others. The January 25th election will select 19 members for the upper house. The candidate registration will take place on the 8th of January. The parties of the ruling alliance are dwelling on the option of fielding candidates from the same parties that have vacated the seats, and for the remaining seats, they are considering fielding candidates based on their vote weight. However, analysts opine parties have not evaluated potential candidates' experience and expertise. The idea behind National Assembly was to have a part of the parliament that has people with expertise on various fields, ones with good reputation and those independent from national politics. However, experts say political parties have turned the National Assembly into another platform for power division. Members of the Parliament's Education, Health and Information Technology Committee have complained other committees had breached their jurisdiction and interfered in the NCL shares case. In the meeting held in Singadarwar today, the committee had summoned Minister for Communication and Chairperson of Nepal Telecommunications Authority to hold preliminary discussion on the NCL shares case. Lawmakers had questioned regarding the government and the authorities' work so far in the case, and a few had said NCL had conducted financial irregularities, creating problems. In response, Minister Rekha Sharma said the sales of NCL shares had been halted and that the government was preparing to proceed with the suggestions made by the concerned probe committee. Chairperson of Nepal Telecommunications Authority, Purushottam Khanal, expressed commitment actions would be taken against anyone found guilty. The International Affairs and Tourism Committee of the House of Representatives has corresponded with the Pashupati Area Development Trust (PADT) demanding for details and documents of the appointment of Lakshmi Pun to the post of Executive Director. The Trust, along with the Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation, have been given 3 days to submit the said documents. The committee has demanded for the decisions minute Pun's education qualification and experience certificates along with personal details. The committee has also directed the Office of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers to implement the Trust's master plan and to determine the Trust's total land and issue land certificate accordingly. Services at the country's oldest hospital, Bir Hospital, is likely to stop at any time due to lack of staff and resource. During the hospital's 134th anniversary program, some 6 months ago, Minister for Health and Population, Mohan Bahadur Basnet, had declared of turning the hospital into a model hospital and one that caters to people who cannot afford health services. The minister had also announced the 700 beds in the hospital that comes under the federal government would be available for free. However, the hospital is struggling to continue several services. The government this year has failed to allocate budget for oxygen and food, which last year was 36,500,000 rupees. The hospital has yet to pay around 20 million rupees to oxygen suppliers who have warned of halting supply unless the dues are paid. The food that hospital has been providing to patients can also stop at any time. Budget crunch has affected lab services, ticketing and X-ray departments. Last year, the government had allocated 1,430 million rupees, which it reduced to 730 million this year, which has been attributed as the reason behind the current scenario. The hospital has not been able to open tender for health equipment due to lack of budget source. The hospital makes around 600 million rupees from internal sources, of all which goes to staff salary, allowances and internal expenses. The lack of budget from the government has raised the chance of disruption in service at any time, which is said to directly affect the poor population. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health and Population has said the hospital should itself find for a solution. The outpatient ward of the hospital alone caters to over 3,000 patients on a daily basis. However, the government's decision to lay off 276 contract staff, which has caused the hospital to reduce to the 59-bed ICU to 23 beds. Not all of the 15 operation theatres are also in operation, and the hospital has struggled to bring into use the 55-bed in emergency ward. In our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces what should be done to improve the condition of government hospitals. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
भौतिक पूर्वाधारको निर्माण हुनुपर्छ।
सरकारी अस्पतालले महँगो हुनु भएन, सबैजनालाई राम्रो उपचार गर्नुपर्छ।
सरकारसँग अनुरोध छ कि अलि धेरै राम्रो डाक्टर राखिदिनु पर्यो, निशुल्क राखिदिनु पर्यो।
अझै डाक्टरको व्यवस्था त्यहाँ मिलाइदिनु पर्छ।
आज यहाँ अन्य डाक्टरहरूले बोलाउनु पर्यो, भाडा कोडो भने हतियारमा राम्रो गर्नु पर्यो।
सरकारीमा नबसेर आफ्नो क्लिनिकमा बसेर बढी पैसा लिन्छन्, त्यो सुधार धेरै गर्न जरुरी छ। यहाँ
यहाँको प्रशासनको पक्षले एकदम सुधार गर्नुपर्छ।
विशेषज्ञ चिकित्सकको अत्यन्तै जरुरी पर्छ।
राम्रो चिकित्सकको व्यवस्था राम्रो हुनुपर्छ।
आइसियूको व्यवस्था गर्ने, फोहोर व्यवस्थापन गर्ने,
जति नीति निर्माण भएका छन् तिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ चुस्त दुरुस्त ढङ्गले कार्यान्वयन गर्नुपर्छ।
राम्रो सेवा सुविधा दिनको लागि चाहिँ सबै पक्ष चाहिँ सकारात्मक हुनुपर्छ।
समितिका मान्छेले चाहिँ एकदम चाहिँ ध्यान पुर्याउनु पर्ने आवश्यक जस्तो लाग्छ।
डाक्टरहरू चाहिँ यथाशीघ्र उपलब्ध गराउनुपर्छ। जनतालाई सहुलियत सुलभ रूपमा चाहिँ जनतालाई सेवा प्रवाह हुनुपर्छ।
नेपालमा प्रोडक्टिभ भएका स्वास्थ्य कर्मीहरू र दक्ष जनशक्ति छ, यसलाई बाहिर पलायन हुनबाट जोगाएर
अब डाक्टरहरू खोज्नु पर्यो सर। यहाँ आवश्यक पर्ने विज्ञ डाक्टरहरूको विशेष गरिकन व्यवस्था गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने यहाँका जनताहरूको माग छ।
The EPS Korea division under the Department of Foreign Employment has filed a writ at High Court Patan demanding for the participation of applicants who had failed the language test for shipbuilding in tests for other productive sector. The division has said 18 had been allowed to fill the forms as per previous interim order by Patan High Court and has demanded for the same for the remaining. The Department of Foreign Employment on 5th of December had decided those who failed the language test for shipbuilding would be ineligible to apply for other sector. On 21st of December, the High Court Patan had issued an interim order against the decision. The department then decided to allow just 18 individuals to apply for other sectors on Wednesday. The writ was filed by Yogesh Khanal, Rupesh Limbu, Roshan Danuar, Sujan Rai, among others. 143,812 had applied for language tests at the department on 18th of December. More than 28,000 have not been able to file applications for another language test, and the hearing on the writ is expected to take place tomorrow. Now, the government is preparing to sign labour agreements with the United Arab Emirates, European and African nations, where more than 10,000 Nepali nationals have been employed. According to the Ministry for Labour, Employment and Social Security, the government and the Saudi government has already exchanged the draft of labour agreement, while preparations have been made to reach an agreement with Arab countries, Oman and Kuwait. The ministry has further said that efforts are underway to sign labour agreement and European countries, Poland, Portugal, Croatia and African nations, Seychelles, that are major destinations for Nepali migrant workers. The government has made preparation to first sign the labour agreement with Saudi Arabia, as complaints from Nepali nationals working there have been mounting. Nepali migrant workers have been working in Saudi Arabia since past 3 decades, while the ministry has said that more than 300,000 Nepali labourers have been currently working there. Efforts are underway to include Nepali migrant workers in the country's social security fund, guarantee minimum wage, and to hold the Saudi government accountable for the problems faced by Nepali labourers in there. Let's move on to international update. There has been an increased cross-border fighting between Israel and the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah since the Hamas attacks on 7th of October, but rocket fire and the use of weaponized drones by Hezbollah has escalated further this week, and Israel has responded. An Israeli War Cabinet Minister, Benny Gantz, has warned that if the world and the Lebanese government did not act to stop the attacks, then the Israel Defense Forces would take matters into its own hands. Gantz warned Israel's military will act to remove Hezbollah from the border with Lebanon if its attacks continue, adding that the military would intervene if militants do not stop firing on northern Israel. He also said time for a diplomatic solution was running out. Meanwhile, the head of the Israel Defense Forces said troops were in very high readiness for more fighting in the north. On Wednesday, Hezbollah launched its highest number of cross-border attacks in a day since 8th of October. It has led to concerns the conflict in Gaza could become wider across the region. Hezbollah, a Shia Muslim organization, is designated a terrorist organization by Western states, Israel, Gulf Arab countries and the Arab League. Funded by Iran, it is one of the most heavily armed non-state military forces in the world. In 2006, a full-blown war between Hezbollah and Israel was triggered when Hezbollah carried out a deadly cross-border raid with Israeli troops invading southern Lebanon. More than 100 people have been killed in Lebanon since October this year, most of them Hezbollah fighters, but civilians, including 3 journalists, are also among the dead. On the Israeli side, at least 4 civilians and 9 soldiers are known to have died on the Lebanon border since hostilities began. Thousands of civilians living in dozens of communities in the area have been evacuated by the army. More than 21,100 people have now been killed in Gaza, mostly children and women, during 11 weeks of fighting. Thousands of Palestinian families in Gaza are trying to find shelter as Israel broadens its ground offensive across the center and south of the territory. As of late, the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza has said 50 Palestinians were killed in Israeli strikes. According to Palestine Red Crescent, 10 people have been killed in a strike near Al-Amal Hospital in Khan Yunis. The UN has also warned that the human rights situation in the occupied West Bank is rapidly deteriorating and has called for Israel to end unlawful killings of Palestinians. 25 Palestinians were arrested in the West Bank since yesterday evening, according to the Palestinian Prisoners Commission and the Prisoners Club. According to Ministry of Health and Coordinator of Field Hospitals in Gaza, health system needs an urgent international intervention and that about 1.6 million people in Rafah need medical care and health services. Cancer patients have had scheduled operations interrupted. Meanwhile, Israel has offered a new prisoner exchange deal via the United States. The deal would first see Israel withdraw its troops from densely populated areas of the Gaza Strip and allow for more aid to enter the enclave. In the second phase, Hamas would release female Israeli captives, including female soldiers, and the bodies of dead Israelis as Israel retreats further into areas to be hashed out via Qatari and U.S. mediation. Local media have said Hamas has so far rejected this proposal as it does not call for a full ceasefire while hostages are exchanged. Israeli army has at least 4 divisions operating inside Gaza, with each division made up of somewhere between 6,000 to 25,000 troops, and there is one operating on the border.
Sports news.
Lalitpur City FC has entered into the final of Nepal Super League for the first time. 10-men Lalitpur defeated Pokhara Thunders 2-1 in the extra time as substitute player Kushal Dewa proved instrumental for their team. In the match held in Dasrat Stadium in Tripureshwar, Lalitpur went down to 10 men in the 34th minute as Nikhil Kadam got a second yellow card. However, Pokhara still failed to pile pressure. Imon Ezekiel scored in counter-attack in the injury time of the first half, utilizing a pass from Papa Ebo Kebe to give Lalitpur the lead. Pokhara staged an improved performance in the second half. However, referee Narendra Maharjan was replaced in the 66th minute as he reported of uneasiness. He was replaced by Ram Dasan. 5 minutes later, Pokhara equalized as Stephen Anor headed in following Joy Aidu's assist. As both the sides failed to find the net in the regulation time, the match went into extra time. Substitute Kushal Dewa scored in the 99th minute to give Lalitpur the lead. His goal also proved decisive and took Lalitpur into the final. Lalitpur will now face Dhangadi FC this Saturday. In the first qualifier, Dhangadi had defeated Pokhara in tiebreaker to enter into the final for the second time. Either of the team will be the first-time winner of the tournament. The winners of the tournament will take home 7 million rupees and the runners-up 2 million. APF has entered into the qualifier of Prime Minister Cup Women's Cricket Tournament, defeating Gandaki by 52 runs. APF is the only team that is undefeated in the tournament so far. In the match held in TU Cricket Ground in Kantipur, APF had opted to bat first, having won the toss, and they posted 127 runs, losing 3 wickets. APF had lost third wicket when the scoreboard read 53 runs. However, the middle order saved the innings. Opener Jyoti Pandey went out for 8 runs, Indu Verma for 10 and captain Sita Rana Magar for 19. Roma Thapa and Mamata Chaudhary's 4th wicket partnership gave APF 74 runs. Roma collected 31 runs in 31 balls. Mamata contributed 40 runs, including 6 fours. Jyotsnika Marasini claimed 2 wickets and Kusum Godar 1 for Gandaki. In reply, Gandaki could only collect 75 runs in 20 overs, losing 7 wickets. Gandaki innings suffered as the top order failed to perform. Opener Anjali Bishwakarma was ducked out. Seema Kesi also failed to open her account. Both the wickets were taken by Sonu Khadka. Srijana Podil scored 11 runs and Jyotsnika Marasini 13. Srishti Jaisi and Suman Khatiwala each contributed 17 runs. However, that was not enough for Gandaki. Neri Thapa staged an impressive bowling performance, claiming 4 wickets. With 6 consecutive wins, APF are in the top position of the points table with 12 points. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good night.